Hello everyone, so here's the next video. We will now go in and work on this sea turtle here. Okay. So for this one, as I'm kind of looking at this, I'll be using the pen tool and the shape builder tool. I'll go over the shape builder tool as I'm using it, but you might have to do a little bit of outside research if you're unfamiliar with that tool. Just Google search Adobe Illustrator Shape Builder tool and you'll get some basic tutorials on how to use that. So as I'm looking at this, I'm wondering how I'm going to do that. So I think I'm going to build 3 major shapes, so one for the body, one for the shell, and one for the fin. Again, kind of layering those shapes on top of each other, going from background to foreground. So I have this, so I've locked my mountain sketch logo, which was our previous one, or yeah, our mountain logo, and then I will make a new layer here. Call this one Sea Turtle. Remember, to make a new layer, you just push this little symbol, and to lock a layer or unlock it, you click the lock symbol or this empty box right here. You can turn layers on and off by clicking these eye symbols. Okay, so I'm going to go from background. So first, I'm going to just switch to my pen tool, and I'm going to make a shape for the body of this turtle. Okay. Doesn't need to be exactly perfect first. I can always go back and adjust it with the direct selection tool later on. Okay, there we go. So there's my shape. So right now my shape has a stroke but no fill. I usually like to work with all shapes first with no stroke or no strokes and just a fill. So I'm going to use my eyedropper tool here. Switch to it, the letter I right here. I'm just going to suck up this green color for the fill. There we go. Make it just a little darker. There we go. Okay, and then I can hit Control Y and I can see right through that shape. So now I'll do one for the shell, since it sits on top of that shape for the body. And again, there's no right way to do this. Each piece is slightly different. I'm just creating closed shapes to layer up and to stack on top of each other and create this. One of the best ways to think about Adobe Illustrator is kind of like cutting out pieces of paper. So all of these could be their own little pieces of paper as I'm working on them. Let's make this a little darker. Why is that not changing? You have to make sure it's selected before it changes. There we go. Okay, Control Y. I'm just going to turn off this mountain one. It's a little distracting. Okay, now one more shape for the fin here. So I'm going from straight to curves here with the pen tool. This is pretty basic stuff that you guys make sure, so that's why I have you doing these practice things, to make sure that you can do these simple sorts of actions with the pen tool relatively easily. Okay, and again I'll use this eyedropper tool, and this shape is selected, and I can suck up any colors. I can suck up yellow, pink, blue, but I want to suck up the green of that previous shape. Okay. So it's coming along okay. So let's see what happens if I put, let's try something here. I'm going to duplicate this body one. And I'm going to turn that on for a darker stroke. Oops. Let's do that again. Didn't register. There we go. Okay, now we got a stroke around that portion of it. Let's turn, it's not quite as thick. Okay. We can turn a stroke on this one if we like. A little thicker. There we go. Now doing the stroke around this fin is going to be a little trickier, so I'm going to come in and redraw just the stroke. The reason I'm doing this is because if I now I want to get that color, exact same color of the stroke. So I want this stroke to be the same color. So if I open this up, I'm going to copy and paste this color, or this little code right here, because this little code represents the color. Control C, OK. Go on to this. Control V down here. Now we have that thicker. There we go. And I can come in, remember with your direct selection tool, this white arrow, there's a little gap in here between the stroke and the fill of the previous shape. So I can just adjust that as need be. There we go. Cool. Okay. So now we need to get into some more of the details. We'll have our little eye here. So let's go with the ellipse tool. Let's just make this a perfect circle. I think that should work just fine for this. So remember, hold Shift as you draw that. Control Y. You can go back to the default because I want a white fill and a black stroke, and I'll do one more. Flip those around and turn off that stroke. Now we have the little eye. And that's okay that the eye is black because it's going to be kind of a focal point, draw a lot of attention. And I want one more for his little smile here. I'm going to do just a simple stroke up here. And then I suck up the color of that. Now here, I'm going to change the taper on this. I want to go from thin to thick. There we go. Okay, and that's kind of the major shapes of it right there. I'll stop this video in just a sec. It's getting a little long. But what I could do is I could go in and put a pattern here. I could put some darker colors for some shadows on there. But for now, that's pretty good for now for those simple shapes. So see if you can get this far, and you can always go back in and add more details later on.